The 9 Years Podcast.
All right, welcome to the 9 Years Podcast, episode 51. Nick Draper here with Stuart Deacons. In one word, Stu, how are you this week?
Tired.
Same, after Peterborough on Tuesday night. Welcome to the show, iTunes, YouTube, 9yrspodcast.org. You know the drill by now. Been an interesting start to the new season with an opening day league defeat and a cup exit. Last time that happened was last season, and what a disaster of a campaign that turned out to be. So everybody panic. Well, maybe finish listening to this week's show before you do, as we're going to go full in-depth into the first two games of the season on this week's show, looking at what went wrong and what went right, both on and off the pitch, including defending set pieces, sitting in traffic and standing in gangways. One thing that went about as good as it could do was our trip to Peterborough on Tuesday night in terms of the actual travel to and from the stadium. Stu and I, we were both on the coach, the supporters' coach, on Tuesday night. Couldn't drive up there. Train was leaving a little bit of a risk, especially if we went to extra time, which it nearly did. So took the safe option and the cheap option, went on the coach. Stu got picked up at South Wimbledon, I got picked up at the stadium. Stu got on the coach at South Wimbledon and texted me just to say it might be an idea just getting to Kingsmead a little bit early, because the coach was, in his words, reasonably packed. That's not a thing. Reasonably packed. Stu, can you explain to myself and the listeners, what does reasonably packed actually mean?
I don't know, to be honest with you. The reason I did it was because normally you have a tendency to get to go around the ground dead on time for a coach. And I had loads of seats. Well, I thought I had loads of seats that I was going to have to save. So Lawrence, to be fair, said to me, I think he had 34 on the coach. But as it's midweek, I just wanted to make sure we had our safe seats. And in the end, we hit loads of traffic going through Rains Park. Ended up getting to you later than actually 3 o'clock, didn't we?
It was a little bit later, but not majorly. And the coach was leaving in plenty of time to get to Peterborough, in which we did so, even with a nice stop at a service station. Let's revive an old feature here, motorway service station news. Do you think we're ever going to find this service station ever again, or will be lost to some sort of myth or legend of the greatest services man has ever made?
Well, the good thing is we have Peterborough in a couple of months, don't we? So, in a couple of months, I think, we have them all away.
We do, but I'd imagine that'll be a train job on a Saturday, you see. So,
yeah, well, I'm going to go on the coach. Well, I'm going to go on the coach this year anyway, because I think I'm getting married in the summer, so I'm skint. So I will be going on the coach anyway. So I'm really looking forward to it. Although I must say, and people may have seen our pictures on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or our normal social media, it probably was the best services ever, because it had a Greggs, it had a McDonald's, had a KFC, it had a patisserie, the shop that's in Wimbledon on
Morrison's, JJB Sports,
no.
HMV.
It does the most amazing cakes.
I know, you mean the Patisserie Valerie, which is next to the Odeon, yeah.
The only disappointing thing is that the sausage roll was cold, and the corned beef pasty that I got was cold. So Greggs did let himself down that way, but then they don't charge any extra for being a service station, which I never understand why you should in the first place. But it was good. It was good in the end. I quite enjoyed having a Greggs at a service station, and it was well enjoyed by Rob Cornell and Chris Slavin and all the media guys, and best service station trip this season.
I did in fact take the opportunity to have a McDonald's at a service station, just purely for the novelty value of such, but they did charge me a little bit extra.
I didn't realise that was such a novelty in McDonald's service stations. I've seen a few of them.
They're more regular now, aren't they? You never used to get one, ever.
Yeah, KFC always used to have standard, wasn't it? It was always standard KFC or Burger King.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you got to put a premium onto your product just because you're at a service station. I don't get that really anymore, do you know what I mean? But thankfully Greggs have not succumbed to that culture, although they've just got to remember to turn the oven on a little bit longer.
Yeah, they don't have to pay any heating or electric bills, that's why.
Yeah, there's always a catch.
Sounds of it. You do realise when you go on the coach to Peterborough for the league game that you will not get back to these services, because I don't think we will ever find it ever again.
No, I still don't know where it is, to be fair. I fell asleep, woke up, and we were put into services, and it didn't really have a name on the services, did it? So Maybe I did dream it, but a lot of other people seem to record it, so I must be in someone else's dream as well.
Well, when you go back there, maybe you can let us all know if you found it once again.
Will do.
Hi, I'm John Green, author of Paper Towns, and when I'm not watching The Ellen DeGeneres Show or WWE Wrestling, I listen to the 9 Years podcast on iTunes.
So much to talk about then from the first weekend or first week of the season. We can surmise the two defeats at Warsaw and Peterborough simply by saying we weren't clinical in front of goal, and we gave away some shocking goals at the other end. There is a common denominator in 5 of the 6 goals we conceded over the 2 games. So let's get the odd one out of the way first. The first goal at Walsall, the free kick. I've laid the blame at Ryan Clark's door for this one. Now, admittedly, it was Chris Welpdale that gave away the free kick, made a challenge on the edge of the box. He was never going to win the ball in that position. Didn't really need to make a challenge either, to be honest with you. Ryan Clark, for me, though, puts the ball in a position, then stands behind the wall, and the ball goes in the other side. For me, it was a criminal one to give away. Stu, what do you reckon?
Yeah, agree. It's always a frustration when keepers set a wall up. The idea of the wall is to set a wall up to block one side of the goal and you stand the other. And then, for some reason, you get goalkeepers who seem to think that the forward is going to basically kid them and go over the wall side. Well, the thing is, if you set your wall up properly, then, and if someone beats you on your side, of, if someone beats you the wall side, then if you moan at the people in the wall because they've broken or not defending properly, or you just hold your hand up and go, do you know what? Great goal. But if you body weight and you take a step behind your wall and the person whips it in off the other side, you've got to hold your hands up, and that's what he's going to have to do. To be fair, it was frustrating. I do get annoyed when keepers try and do that. Put the wall there. If it gets beat, if the wall breaks, then you've got people to moan at, etc. But the problem is, it looks a great free kick the way it is, but if you break it down, which we are breaking down a lot of the goals that we conceded over this week already, it's not great, is it?
We were fine, to be honest with you, at Warsaw, apart from that, weren't we? Set up really nicely, lined up 4-4-2, men behind the ball, our shape was good. Then we've given away another free kick. Paul Robinson's made a mistake. He's misjudged a bounce on a ball through, lost possession, brought the player down, taken one for the team, got his booking. From the resulting free kick, though, we've gone absolutely to pieces. What actually happened? What went wrong? At the time, we noticed Walsall clearly with the movement of their attacking players going to the back post. That's where the ball's gone. He's won the header. But at the time, didn't really spot it as much. Watching it back, Barry Fuller, Darius Charles on their heels. Not really. I don't know what have they done.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I said to you at the time, just as the free kick was better, it wasn't as if the free kick was a quick free kick or even we set up the free kick. And then you just seemed to see Barry Fuller had 2 men. We were right behind the goal and I couldn't hear Barry Fuller or see him gesturing to anybody's coming with him. And I don't want this to be a Ryan Clark session of just moaning at what he done, because I think that's unfair and you can't lay every blame at his goal. But
can't lay every blame at his goal.
At his goal, at his door. Sorry, I was thinking ahead of the other goals. But yeah, you want Barry Fuller or at least Ryan Clark, or even just Robbo, someone going spare man. But as a free kick is taken, another man then goes to the back stick, and Barry Fuller has 2 spare men. But then from that, Darius doesn't get a header. He goes into the area. Then it becomes a scramble, and we just don't get there. We just don't get there quick enough, and it's bundled in, and it's really disappointing, because at that stage you could argue that we'd had some really good chances. Welpdale, when he went from wide right into the area and done sort of like a flick over the defender and scuffed it. We had the better chances, and we were 2-0 down to really some half chances. And I think what I would say, going back to the free kicks, I think one thing that I've noticed already in the 2 games is that the forwards are smarter in this league. I wouldn't say they're Wickham-esque in terms of just falling over, blatantly diving, trying to get free kicks, but they're very clever with their runs. They get their body in front, and if they get a touch, they're over, they're down. Like I say, I don't think it's as blatantly as what Wickham do, but I think it's a case we have to be careful with our defending and getting too tight and giving away needless free kicks, because we've shown obviously at the moment we can't defend them, which we had a problem with the start of last season with free kicks. So I think we've just we will discuss it through the goals, but that little bit extra quality is our downfall at the moment.
Again, came out second half. Let's take the game to Walsall.
Yeah,
quite happy in possession. created a couple of chances, decent positions, but then we've got caught again. Third goal for me just seems to be a case of we've just made the substitution. I think Workdale's come off, Parrott's come on that right-hand side, maybe just adjusting ourselves, I don't know what, but their sub as well has got in on the left-hand side, crossover, and Jackson again tucks it in.
Yeah, when you look at the goal back, there isn't an awful lot that Walsall do to get the spare man down the left-hand side. Barrowford sort of like pushes up, but I think it's Neil Harley alluded to it, that he went for a player. Basically, the players he selected for Walsall were very much majority of the old guard from last year, and he said that was purely because of the way we press. We tactically press in a different way, and he didn't feel the players had enough time due to a short pre-season to really get that pressing game going. And I think it probably showed him a little bit that way, because if you look at it, we've probably got 4 men around 2 Walsall players, but no one really presses with any structure as such. And in the end, Barry Fuller pushes up a little bit, and the ball gets played in behind, and before you know it, Barry Fuller's chasing a player, and then it crosses in, it's whipped in, and it's a good finish. But you're sort of looking, you think you're 3-0 down, and really, it wasn't a 3-0 game. It wasn't, and that was our problem. But we made some good subs. Like I say, we brought on Polion and Barnett for Elliott and Bartram, and then Whelpdale come off and Parrott come on. So I think the subs up front definitely made a massive change, and we're obviously going similar to what we did last year in terms of bringing on 2 subs around the 70-minute mark, and noticeably changing games. We just don't want to be 3-0 down, just wait 2-0 down before we do it. But yeah, also, I was impressed with Walsall. They've got a lot of new players. I think it was an eye-opener to the difference of quality in terms of shifting the ball, pace, movement. Also being at a ground that actually, to be fair, what was the attendance there? 5,500. Felt like it was more than that. But generally, it reminded me back of the old days when you travel away from home and the home team scores and you get a big cheer. Also seemed very much a team that were used to winning at home, and it did feel a little bit like a bit of a fortress there. I don't know if you felt that way on Saturday.
It felt like a step up, didn't it? I think you're right. When you talk about the way they shift the ball and the movement of the forward players, just seems to be a level up on a lot of what you see at League 2 level.
Yeah, the quality of the game, I said to you at the end of it, I really enjoyed the game. I know it sounds silly when you've just got beat 3-1, but I just felt the quality of the game, including the quality from ourselves. I think we showed that we've got quality in the players we've brought in and the players that have come through from last year. And it genuinely was a good game to watch. You thought you'd been entertained for the money you had. I just don't want to be entertained all season with us on the end of a scoreline. But it's early days yet, and we've got a lot to adjust to. Very
impressed with actually Barnett and Polion from what we've seen so far. They look good additions to the squad.
Yeah, really impressed. I don't think Barnett's anywhere near sharp, fit. There's a difference, as we said before, between fitness and actually match sharpness. Neil Harley's already said his minutes are down from Shrewsbury, and I think it was quite obvious in pre-season that he was waiting to move. So you wonder actually how much he actually put in them games. So I think we're going to have to really get minutes out of him. But you can see Barnett is a class apart. You can tell why he's gone for the money he's got, the attributes he's got, makes good runs. Polion, I'm just massively impressed by him. He's low centre of gravity, makes clever runs. That right hand side, Barry Fuller now has got some good outballs. In terms you've got Chris Whelpdale, who won every header on that right hand side, and then Polion comes over and gives a ball that will stick. And we can build from there. I think first half at Peterborough, which was yesterday, obviously we were recording Wednesday night. The first half, we retained some good possession. Chris Whelpdale was causing them problems. We generally matched them, I thought, in midfield, and the 1-0 lead didn't flatter us at all. And it reminded me of like an old-fashioned Wimbledon goal. Drill ball, front stick, like a Marcus Gale run, flick header, top corner. Neil Hardy said early on when he bought Chris Whelpdale that he always felt he was one of the best players coming in on the back stick and winning headers. Well, this was a bit of a different one, but you can see that he's going to be a menace at corners this season.
He unfortunately had to come off at half time, got a little bit of a knock, so I think it's more precautionary than anything. Tom Beer comes on. But we were so comfortable. We started the game really well. We'd obviously got the goal, as you mentioned there, 1-0 up at half time. First half, Peterborough had a couple of sniffs, to be fair. They had a great chance of the left-back got forward and got in, but he missed. We at 1-0, Darius Charles plants the header wide from a very clever free kick. Seemed easier to score. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but it was a great chance. Could have been 2-0 up. But we'd gone into the game, we were pressing high, they were making mistakes, we were winning possession high at the pitch. And then we've just switched off, haven't we? We have totally switched off for them to equalise, and then within a couple of minutes later, we're actually behind.
Yeah, it's frustrating. You also, when you're at a game, you get a very much an instinct of a goal, whether you think it's good play by them. And let's be fair, every goal you can see, you can dissect it to make a mistake or an error that you've done. And sometimes you just have to go, hold your hands up. That was good play. But when you look at the goal, I did think we allowed the cross in with no pressure on the cross, and that was the case. For me, Bartram switched off. Sean Kelly had 2 on his side. It was played back. Barch didn't track the one on the blind side, whipped ball in, and then you've got forgotten who scored it now. Who's the player went in between? That's it. Yeah, he went in between Charles and Robbo in the end, and Bolton. It was to be fair, great cross, great run, but you've got to stop the cross.
Could slightly be controversial here because we're going to talk about Ryan Clark again shortly, I know, with the other second 2 goals, but I think the player that's avoided a bit of criticism has been Robbo. If you look at that goal, the equaliser for Peterborough there, the man's got in between him and Darius. You look at Saturday at Warsaw, you think Robbo's made a mistake that's led to giving away the free kick for the first goal. Again, the third goal at Warsaw, crosses come in. Darius and Robbo haven't really done, I don't think they've done enough really to do anything with the cross in terms of defending it. Tends to be a bit of a tap-in quite close to the goal. I don't know if we're looking at the goalkeeper again for that third goal against Warsaw.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to single players out, but do you know what?
It's what I was saying. It's not saying a little bit earlier. It's the difference in the striker and the quality and the different types of strikers. So if you look at the 2 games, Warsaw, they had Simon Jackson up front, who nippy little striker, and then they had the 5 foot nothing player in behind. Yeah, we can never pick up. We didn't know whether to come out. It was one of those, does Danny Ballman drop in and mark him, or does Darius come out or Robbo come out? And in the end, you're caught in between 2 man's land, and you don't do it. But then if you look at last night, they had Taylor up front, who I just thought was excellent, absolutely excellent player, and we couldn't deal with him. And I think it's a different type. Half of me's thinking that Robbo and Darius are going to have a real tough season. They're good defenders. I'm not going to go over money, overnight go. We've gone from having probably the 2 best defenders in a pairing in League 2 to having the worst in League 1. I don't for 1 minute say that, but I felt last night that when we were defending in bits, Darius and Robbo were basically sometimes hanging on in terms of keeping up the pace. It's a different level. These 2 are decent teams, and Robbo, you could argue, yes, the runner goes off on the first goal. Second goal, yes, doesn't win a header, and the third goal loses a man as well. So, yeah, you could be critical. Personally, second and third goal, I think the starting position for the goalkeeper is too deep, and I think we have lost a bit of a presence that we had last year.
Interesting that on Tuesday night, Peterborough game, we kept with the same back 4 and the goalkeeper. We thought there might be some changes just to rotate and keep players fresh, but I think Neil was conscious maybe of just trying to get them used to playing with each other, get that unit together. Communication, though, seems to be a problem, as you're hinting at there as well. Ryan Clark not really speaking. So what goes wrong there with that second Peterborough goal last night then?
He's just very quiet. If you look at the free kick, we've done some social media today and guest books and stuff, and I've referred back to, if you look at Kelly Roos last year, his starting position was probably sometimes around the 6-yard area, and even sometimes being adventurous and actually just and going a bit further. And what he did very much with his big presence, he would come out, he would get his arms free, maybe the old gesture that, my arms are out, I don't want anyone sort of holding me. But what he did was he sort of, in a way, pushed up his defence. So he had the room to come out, punch, collect, and stuff like that. I just felt, you look at the goals last night, every time that ball comes in, the ball's approaching the 6-yard area. And the second goal, it's come out from probably 30 yards. It's got enough height in there. I just think if the goalkeeper's starting position is better and we push out, he then has the room. But before we know it, we're literally, when that ball drops, it's literally on the 6-yard area. Every time the ball drops, Robin misses the header, Tom Beard then misses the drop down, and they get a tap in. But when you look at a goal and you dissect it, if you can go, it's Robbo's error, it's Tom Beard's error. But I seriously believe that the keeper needs to be more dominant, needs to have a better starting position, and then all of a sudden you changed that set play straight away. And I said this when at pre-season. He's a no frills goalkeeper, I called it, and I stand by that. But the signing didn't. We went from having a young, ambitious goalkeeper who was on a lot of money, and we weren't probably in the racing to get him this year, to a goalkeeper that is in the end of his career. And I just don't know. I still don't think it's the greatest, one of the best signings we've done, and it's a position that's so critical.
So what happens with the winning goal?
The winning goal is a corner. It's frustrating. It's interesting to see whether these rules about not being able to hold people.
I wondered about this.
Which is right. Is right. I'm just wondering whether it's mean we're losing runs or we've just changed our defending, because Robbo and Darius are just set in their ways. Has that affected us? I don't know. But Robbo sort of gets caught underneath it. What frustrates me again, and I'm going to try and make sure that I don't think this is basically a Ryan Clark moaning session, because it's not, But again, when we lose the header, that ball is 6-yard area. It's not the most whipped cross in there. And then when the ball drops, we have two people on the line behind the goalkeeper. I don't understand who they're marking. I really don't. And I winced at the time when the goal went in. I couldn't understand, where we were. All I could see was someone nip in front of a goalkeeper. I didn't even see the two on the line. But what are they doing on the line? I don't understand how we set up. I don't understand how we set up, and it's just, I sometimes think I don't like to be overcritical, and sometimes my passion for wanting to win gets sometimes camouflages mistakes. But I showed a couple of guys the goals at work today, who are Premiership fans, and they looked at it and they said straight away, "What's your keeper doing?" So I thought that made me feel better. That it wasn't just me picking on somebody, but we got it better. We got it better, and I'm hoping that we're going to be working on that over the couple of days.
For me, it was criminal to be in injury time conceding a winning goal from a corner, from a set piece. But I think for the second and third Peterborough goals, we also have to rewind a little bit. Let's start with the third goal. We're actually on the attack, and the ball breaks out, and their player picks the ball up, runs about 60, 70 yards forward. We don't get a challenge in. We're too nice, perhaps. I think we probably could have maybe picked up a booking, taken him out en route. Whatever happens, the ball shouldn't be allowed to travel that far.
Yeah, and you know what? You won't see this on the highlights, but the second goal, we have a clear foul on a halfway line on Polion. Right in front of Neil Ardley, who got a stern telling off by the referee, who was just trying to basically cover his mistake. But that led to the ball breaking, and Reeves picked up a yellow card for more, I think, frustration for wiping out one of their players. I wouldn't say it was a difficult game to referee last night. I think it was quite a free-flowing game, wasn't it? There was no real malice in there.
Not at all.
But yeah, there were some probably decisions that went out that didn't go our way. But I think the one thing that struck me for the Peterborough team was their spine of the team was what I felt gave them that attacking. You got Bostock, who, to be fair, didn't really give much away. You then had the midfield of Madison and Forrester. I thought Forrester was excellent. He travelled with the ball as quick as he did without the ball, and he gave Reeves and Parrott a real tough time in there, who held their own, to be fair, and playing a good games. And then Taylor up front, who you sort of said to me you thought you'd seen him, and he was at Ipswich, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was just a live wire, and you can see they're a good team. You can see Peterborough were a good team, but I thought we had more than a match from last night, and sometimes when you go out, you go, yeah, do you know what, they're a better team, but there wasn't much in it last night.
I don't think there's been much in it in either game. I just want to come back to the foul before the second goal for Peterborough, the foul on Polion. Now, we're obviously very close to it. It's right in front of us. It's right in front of Neil Ardley, but shockingly, it's right in front of the referee. Now, he can only assume that the player has won the ball, but he's nowhere near it. It's such a bad decision. It really is. If we can dig out footage of it so people can see it, if they weren't there or they didn't catch it at the time, it was a shocker.
And we had a shout for a penalty, didn't we, as well? Granted, it was the beginning of the second half where it looked like the player had done another slide tackle with their hands covering, like a diving save, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had one at Walsall as well, and I get them decisions are very difficult because it has to be a clear ball to, hand to ball rather than a ball just hitting them. But I argue the point that if you are sliding yes, all right, you can't slide with your hands behind your side, but if you're sliding with your hands in a goalkeeper parry motion, then you are hoping it hits your hands. So
You're just trying to get whatever you can in front of the ball, aren't you?
you are, and I say, don't get me wrong, I can understand why they're difficult to give, but referees are supposed to be there as not being stupid. They're supposed to understand the game and the sportsmanship that goes into it, and that's basically what it is. It's a sportsmanship thing. I would say I'm reasonably impressed with how well they've implemented the holding. I think in both games you've been able to see a lot more freedom of movement. Whether that's cost us, or you could argue.
That'll all change after we leave the EU.
I'll be interested to see how the Premiership starts this season, this week. Whether, because the holding, let's be fair, I knew Ardy spoke about the idea was if you're holding for someone for more than 3 seconds, then that's the holding.
Mm.
My interesting point is when you get someone holding and blocking somebody off and not even looking at the ball. That happens a lot in the Premiership, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how well that's. I think there's going to be a lot of penalties given early on, but I would say credit to the referees in both the Walsall and Peterborough game. They've literally got that. They've literally stamped it out, and the players have sort of understood what the new rules are.
Well, it was a game, without wishing to delve too deeply into it at the moment, but there was a game towards the end of last season, wasn't it? Leicester West Ham in the run-in. There was all sorts of pushing and pulling, and a penalty given for this, a penalty not given for a similar offence at the other end. So, hey, as long as it's consistent, I don't think anyone's going to have a complaint, are they?
No, and you and I, we've been going football long enough to know the sportsmanship, and it's like there's just few things that never get ironed out. The blatant body checking of sort of a ball going out for a goal kick, which becomes sometimes people are body checking people from the edge of the area. That sort of thing and obstruction, but holding and pulling and not even looking at the ball when you're defending a corner is one of my biggest bugbears. And if that can be ironed out, great. But I think referees have got a tough job, and I think the Premiership and the top leagues around the world this week when they start, I can just see an awful lot of penalties being given early on. Do
you know what one of my big bugbears is?
Go on.
It's people that walk really slowly around supermarkets, just get in your way. Or those ones that get to the end of the checkout and then suddenly remember they have to pay and spend about half an hour getting the money out. Anyway, talking about sportsmanship and the dark arts of football. Warsaw was somewhat guilty of this. We haven't touched on this one, but we will mention it very quickly. Management of the game. For a team that didn't create many chances and were on the back foot in terms of territory at least and what have you, for the second half, they weren't daft in knowing when to just slow things down a little bit, take a breather, have the physio come on.
Yeah, we need to have a look and see whether this is something that just happens in League One, because we've seen it, with Stevenage, Wickham. They're not alone. There's a couple of other teams. Watford, yeah. I think they learned from Luton, to be fair. But
let's not go down that line.
You're right. Referee frustrated me the way that I sometimes wonder with referees of how they are. Their tolerance. When you blatantly know it's happening, there was a hot day on Saturday, so I can understand where there would be breaks for fluid and stuff. But also, they were quite smart in terms of some of their fouls were. I put it down to when I remember seeing, I think years ago when Messi first came on the scene, what they did, some teams, rather than one person fouling Messi or man marking, they took it in turns. And it took a referee to do an accumulative foul, but he booked the player because it was a different player who had done a first foul, but it was a cumulative team fouling on Messi. Mm-hmm. But they seem to do that quite a lot, Walsall, tactically just breaking the game up, fouling. And then all of a sudden, I think, to be fair, one person tried to get in front of Robbo went through him, he went down. At one stage, the referee quite clearly said to the physios, there was 2 physios that come on, I don't know why I needed 2, get off the pitch. Motion to it. We all thought, yeah, great, referee's finally getting it, and then done nothing.
Yeah, they just ignored him, and he just carried on.
Is it a case you can't book because you can't book the physios that you can't do nothing? Really frustrated me. They went down. They slowed the clock down. Their keeper, bless him, just didn't understand the idea of standing up. It's really frustrating. I don't know. Again, it's a rule that a sportsmanship. It's a clever way of doing it and breaking the game up. It is clever. You can't argue with that. You want a strong referee, but you don't really know what the referee. How do you do it? I've said for ages, and probably I think between us and not really on the podcast, but if any way we could go on with the rugby where they just come on, doesn't stop the game. I know it's difficult. I know it's different because rugby is possession based and passing the ball back, so you can get people on where it's not actually they're not sitting in the penalty area for argument's sake stopping a goal. But if you could do something where the physio just comes on and the game continues, if they're not injured, they will soon get up.
Fortunately, Peterborough were pretty good, to be fair, and the game on Tuesday night was a very entertaining cup tie. You got your money's worth for that one, definitely.
It was.
And we did actually level it at 2-2. We haven't mentioned this one. Great finish from Lyle Taylor. All comes from, admittedly, if we'd have given away that goal, I'd be screwing, because I don't know why their goalkeepers put... It very much reminded me of our very first game back in the Football League when Seb rolls the ball out to Ricky Wellard in a position where you would never do that, and you lose possession. But that's up to us and our keeping up our pressing high of the pitch, and then Lyle finishes it expertly.
Yeah, we pressed high, didn't we? We pressed high with Elliott, Lyle and Reevesy, pressed high. It's difficult, isn't it? Because when you look at it, the touch from their player is what puts them in trouble.
Yeah, it's a very heavy touch, but
it goes about 5 yards away from where his foot was. They were trying to do that all game. They were trying to play out from the back all game. We tried to squeeze up in numbers. It's one of the things that I love about tactically how Neil Ardie sets up, and it's something he didn't go with early on because he didn't have the players, I think, to push in. But we do. There was one passage of play that I think I pointed out to you where we literally did a 3-man squeeze where we all went. Danny Bullman was the best one for it. He will tactically cover off areas where there's danger areas, and we literally went in. Three men went in to basically press the ball, and the fourth man was Parrott, who wasn't switched on, and they come out. And we were lucky last night because where we were sitting, we could see Neil Ardie and how he is on the touchline. But he went mad. You just see that the three pressed in the right areas, and then Parrott stepped off, and all of a sudden they got the 3-man in between the lines, and they were out. But if you press, I think the way we want to press, if you do it, you will end up winning quite a lot of balls in dangerous areas, and that's what we did for the goal. And great finish by Lyle. There was some debate about him not celebrating. I look at it, Lyle wants to win games. He wasn't happy. I don't know, vocally he moaned at Neil Ardie about some of the goal we conceded, and he just genuinely wanted to win the game. And I think it's more of a case of, this is 2-2, let's go and win it. Let's not worry about celebrating. I don't think it's got anything to do with him in talks at the moment. I seriously hope not.
It's an interesting one. All I'll say is he scores the goal and he almost immediately just turns around and runs back in. No one goes near him, which is interesting. No sort of team celebration.
Do you think we're reading too much into it, though, Nick?
It was for me. It just struck me as unusual. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Normally, when we score goals, our team spirit is very, very high. And okay, you could argue it's a cup tie. We've only just got an equaliser, so what are you expecting? Maybe get the ball back, go on, win the game. Yeah. It just didn't strike me. Sometimes you just get an instinct of a feeling of something's not quite right. And Lyle's been great. I think, did very, very well for the goal against Warsaw. Great goal. Nice little cameo for him at Peterborough, but just sensing things aren't quite right.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? You sometimes just don't want to read. It's so difficult to read stuff in because Lyle is just, by his own nature, and I've chatted with Lyle quite a lot this season, last season, this season, and just generally he accepts that he moans. He's blatantly said it, and I've had a laugh. I've been lucky enough to do some interviews with him recently and have a chat, and he generally is honest enough to know he just moans, and he knows it himself. So I don't know. Has he rattled people's cages? I don't think it's a secret that he wants a new contract. He feels he's had a good season last season. I think we feel that he's got to demonstrate that he can do it in League One. 2-2.
2-2. So, yeah, can't really argue. Can't do much more, can he?
His argument now will be, I've got 2-2 on games we've lost. So I would love to just get him tied up to a new contract. If it is all about that, then I'll just, Lyle, I don't care what he does. Score goals, be moody on the pitch, do your normal sort of stuff, and just do your talking on the pitch, and then your contract will sort itself out, really.
Let's wrap up things on the pitch then for these last couple of games. Man of the match vote on Twitter for the two. Warsaw was won by Jake Reeves.
Yeah,
42% of the vote.
Yeah.
Tom Elliott and Sean Kelly were the other options. They got 29% of the vote each. Sean Kelly is perhaps an indication of how well he's come into the team. Was also a nominee for Peterborough. Only 8% on this occasion, though. Dean Parrott walked away with it for the League Cup tie. 67% of the vote. Jake Reeves with 25%. But got to say, you look at the four names we've got there: Parrott, Reeves, Elliott, and Kelly. And yeah, good starts to the season.
Yeah, Kelly's done well. You can tell he's played. You can tell he's played regular games at a decent level in the Scottish Premiership. Don't get me wrong. I think Jonathan Meads walked straight back into that team. But
does he? Not. I mean, for me, he does. But what I mean by that is, what message does it send to Sean Kelly if you can put his two performances and he can rightly knock on Neil Ardley's door if he's dropped and say, "What have I done wrong?" Yeah,
he probably could do. I think Neil Ardley would probably rightly say we've got 18 games or something in ridiculous amount of time. 8 days. 8 days. 18 games in about 8 weeks. Sorry. So Neil Ardley probably rightly will say, "Do you know what? We need as many fresh legs as we can." Jonathan Meads, I think he just goes back in there. Jonathan Meads for me is a senior player who basically, no matter I could argue, I don't think no matter what Sean Kelly does, he comes out. However, what I would say is Sean Kelly, I'd be interested to see what he's like at centre half. He's a 6'2",
big lad,
can win a header, decent ball in his feet, decent pace. My gut feeling is some games we're going to have to be careful with. I think we lack mobility at the back. I think we've shown that in the 2 games we've just had. So, you look at Will Nightingale. Has he got more legs? Yes, he has. And Sean Kelly probably is. So we probably could. He's going to be.
He's only got 2 legs.
only two. Yeah. But I think there are places where we can mix the squad up. We're not going to get Darius and Robbo playing all those games. And I was surprised. Like I say, I thought Nightingale would come in probably for Robbo on Tuesday night, but he didn't. What we start with on Saturday against Bolton, I think will be very. I think the team selection on Saturday will be very clear how Neil Ardley views who is at fault or where the faults are for the goals in the first 2 games, judging by who he plays. I think. I
have a feeling we might just see the same lineup again. I think he might just stick with them just to get them used to playing with each other. I think that's why he probably kept it as it was for Peterborough. I think back to last season when we went away to Cardiff, which was a step up, and how he sort of rotated amongst the back four then.
Yeah, but I think to be fair, when we played Cardiff, I think you probably knew actually that that was a really tough game, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It proved that way, didn't it? I think he generally thought we had a chance at Peterborough being in the same division. I think he generally thought that. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I think Will Nightingale is rightly so challenging Darius and Robbo, and if I was someone like Will Nightingale or I was James Shea, I would be working my proverbials off in training. They'll probably be back Thursday morning, I would have thought, and some set piece.
So this morning.
This morning, of course. We're tired, by the way, so we do apologise if it's timings and stuff like that. But like I say, if I was James Shea and Will Nightingale, I would be training and making sure that I'm visibly in their eyes and doing all the right things, because when there's been errors for the goals and we've not been the greatest that area, then places are up for it, and Neil will be looking at how Robbo and Darius respond and how Ryan Clark responds and stuff like that. But there's places up. The number one jersey is by no means guaranteed to anyone at the moment. It's up for grabs, and the centre halves, like I say, Will Nightingale. Getting some games behind him now, and he wasn't used for the 21s, who lost at Charlton on Tuesday. So Neil obviously sees him now as ready for game time. So it'll be interesting to see what he does Saturday.
But well done, Dean Parrott and Jake Reeves, for your Man of the Match awards on Twitter. Keep an eye out for those after the Bolton and Scunthorpe games in the week. We also had our first Don 3-word reports of the season. We only did this for the Warsaw game. We'll probably only do this for the Saturday afternoon games. But the top 3 this week, we had quite a lot, to be fair. So, thank you for everyone that replied. But we'll go for the top 3. Start off with Timothy Green at Timothy_Green. Jacko Wacko's Dons, obviously with Simeon Jackson scoring twice. Very, very nice. Dave Tyndall at Dave Tyndall1 simply says wake up call. I think that's more to do with the idea of being clinical in front of goal. I think that was the difference, as we've sort of said. A mixture of being clinical in terms of us not taking our chances and the opposition taking their chances, although our defending is clearly questionable. And then, guess what, Stu? Guess who the third three-word match report is going to come from this week?
I reckon it's someone whose initials are RA.
It is indeed Reginald Archer. No, it's of course Ray Armfield. At Kent Womble, Sadler's Well Theatrical. We touched on that, didn't we? We touched on their management of the game, but Sadler's Well, it's very good. It's very clever, Ray. I think he prepares these in the hope that he can use them, that they're going to be applicable.
I think so, and I think maybe I should do that as well, because I never get anywhere near them.
You never do it. You don't do one.
I do think of them, but I just three words is not many. I'm a man of many words, and 3 words are not really beneficial to me.
You are a man of many words, and at least 40% of them are worth listening to.
Exactly.
I went for saddled with mistakes. Again, that's Sadler's pun, you see. I thought it was quite good.
Good, it's good.
Yeah, thanks. Cheers. Right, let's talk very briefly. We've spoke for ages on this. Off the pitch things then, very, very quickly. I just want to touch on Peterborough. Thank you very much for your £1.50 League Cup programme. What an absolute waste of time that was. £1.50 or not, honestly, shocker. Warsaw run out of programmes apparently. They have ordered more, so if you're very lucky and if you go onto their official site, their club shop or whatever, or give them a call, you might get lucky with, they've ordered about 200 extras. I don't know how many they would have sold on their League Cup tie on Tuesday night, but if you wanted one, you're after one and couldn't find one, have a look there. There was a slight incident after the goal on Saturday with a few fans came away with a few bruises, a few cuts because of a little bit of silliness by some of our fans that were packed into an area behind the goal with which there probably wasn't room for them. Conversation's been going on social media quite a lot, so we won't spend too much longer on this, but there is sort of two sides to this argument. Number one, I will say this, Stu, to begin with. There is an acknowledgement now that behind the goal, towards the back, is where people are going to stand to watch the game. Okay?
Yep.
I've already said to you, my dad, who was part of the podcast in the build-up to Wembley, spoke about this. If you go through 9yrspodcast.org, have a look for our Countdown to Wembley features about the 63 Amateur Cup final. My dad speaks about trying to buy a ticket. Now, he acknowledged the fact he can't, at his advancing years, he won't mind me saying that. He's probably not even listening. If he's listening, he's hearing so. Yeah, exactly. He's hearing so bad he can't even hear it. He's not going to be able to stand for 90 minutes, potentially 120 minutes at a time. So he went on and he put himself down the side in an area where he knew he'd be able to sit comfortably for the entire game. Okay, so he's put a bit of prior planning into that. That said, it shouldn't have to be that way, I think, for away games. If you get there at 2 o'clock, 2:15, whatever, you've got the stand, it's unreserved seating, you go and sit where you like. You shouldn't have to then move or be irritated by people that think they can turn up at 5 to 3 and stand wherever they wish. Okay? Stewards did speak to them, would probably try to manage the situation, which actually, to be fair to them, had it not been for a couple of fans just being idiots, basically, when we scored, for whatever reason, they just fancied having a bit of a bundle because we scored a goal, even though it was a meaningless goal in the grand scheme of things. If we stay up on the last day of the season on goal difference by 1 goal, I'll take that comment back. But largely, there wasn't an incident apart from that, was there? So management of it, they probably judged it just about right. There was no need to go any further with that. But it is just a bit silly. It's a bit obnoxious, antisocial behaviour from a small group of our fans at the moment.
Yeah, we have discussed, and I've discussed this a lot on social media, and it did rattle my cage, I must admit. And I've been going football now for a good 20 years, and I think there's what you call a football etiquette amongst fans, especially your own fans and stuff like that. And I'm by all means not a killjoy, and I love celebrating. I can swear with the best of them and so forth. But I just think there becomes a level of respect for your fellow fan, and it's crept in a few games. Back end of last season, Stevenage was one that I remember vividly, where. I don't know. We've taken big followings there. We have a lot of fans there, but I think I've seen it where you want to get behind the goal, where that's a singing area. Well, okay. I think you and I both know that. Yeah, if we want to stand up and sing, we go to the back. One, because there's no one behind us who then can moan that we're standing. So we normally try to go for the back row, or at least have a look and go who's sitting there. We sort of know a lot of the fans who generally are going to sing. You sort of know them by age or. You
just tend to recognise, don't you?
Yeah, and you sort of know, so it's like an unwritten rule, but I think when it comes to a stage of you're getting out at 5 to 3 and then going to the back where there's no room, you can visibly see there's no room, and you're edging your way into an aisle, which is what I've seen done because I've been in an aisle when that's happened, and then you get into a situation where you've got 2 or 3 deep in a seating area. That's stupid, and I think that shows a lack of respect to your fellow fan, and it shows a little bit of an ignorance that you can just do what you want. Walsall stewards were very, very. They were just generally nice stewards. Generally, hello, how are you? That sort of thing that's nice if you can. Sit where you want, no problem at all. And there was loads of room. Not 900 seats, loads of room, but that's another story. But generally, I heard comments from saying, well, the Walsall stewards were too relaxed. Well, you can't win. You can't win. You're right. They tried to manage the situation by saying to the guys, can you move? I think they made a judgment call of going, actually, if we just manage them, leave them alone, they will sort themselves out. But it is stupid to surge down a terracing, and the seats, for those of you not at Walsall, the seats were really weird, where they seemed to have, there was a row, but then had a sort of a concrete block.
It was almost as if they were the old converted terraces.
Yeah.
Where they had sort of...
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
So all it really needed was you to be pushed, and you lost your balance, and you go straight into the row in front of you. And, it was so stupid that we had someone run on the pitch for a consolation goal for Lyle Taylor, who I understand Walsall kicked him out and didn't actually go through because that apparently is a 12-month ban.
Yeah, he should be banned for 12 months for that, yeah. So what I would say for anyone that's was in amongst that and stuff like that is, let's just think about fellow fans and respect. We'll have respect for fellow fans, and also if it continues, all that happen is the club will get involved, and you will find that you will have stewards at away games who will go sit on your seats, your allocated seats, and they will be very much rough and ready for us. So we don't want to get a reputation for having that. And we have 2 powder keg games this season, which I was not looking forward to in the best. I hate Fleetwood.
Yeah, can't believe we've got to go to Blackpool again. But we have 2 powder keg games, and we don't really want to be getting a name for ourselves or be in trouble, because I like the fact we can go away to games and stewards actually going, oh, nice to see you. Peterborough last night, one of our older fans who, bless him, told us his life story, and he was going to Malta in December. One of the stewards was waiting for, one of the lady stewards was waiting for him to wish him a safe journey back. And I just laughed to myself, thinking, didn't need to do that, but it was really, Peterborough stewards last night were very, very welcoming, and I don't want to get to a stage where we're moaning about the Palace stewards who hate us and all this stuff. But it will happen if we don't self-manage. Then that's what's going to happen.
Also, it must be pointed out that we were quite happy where we were behind the goal, still being able to sing and contribute to the atmosphere. We didn't have to be right behind the goal either. You don't need to pack into that area either. Peterborough, the welcome post was very nice, as well as the stewards' welcome.
Yes.
Us as the real Dons. That's gone down well in a certain area of Buckinghamshire, which I find hilarious. Only thing I'd say about Peterborough is there's a bit of a tight squeeze in those seats. I think when we go back for the league game, I will be heading towards the back of the stand and probably standing for the 90 minutes, because I'm not going to be able to sit in those seats again, I don't think. I think I'm still suffering today.
And to be fair, they gave us a good allocation, didn't they? They gave us the whole of our half stand. So we obviously went as close to the halfway line as we could, but we weren't really clever where we were the seats we picked. But
well, in terms of view and being able to keep an eye on everything and keeping an eye on the dugouts as well, it was a great place to be. It was just not the easiest to sit in.
I think if that's where the away fans go, I'm not too sure if they put them there or put them behind the goal.
I think they do now. I think the stand behind the goal, which used to be the away terrace, that nice new stand has now been given over to the home fans. And
that makes sense, and it should be in all seriousness. So, but I can imagine, for the league game, we will take a healthy following to that, and I can imagine that being it reminded me a little bit of Leyton Orient. That sort of old stand will carry the sound really well. So I'm looking forward to going back to that. Peterborough's a lovely ground. Yeah, done a good job. I quite liked it.
Any updates from any of our loan players then this week?
Had a quick look. We all Danny Gallagher's on loan at Kingstonians, so nice local for him.
Their season's not started yet, though, has it?
One game. Well, they had this will make you laugh. They had a Charity Shield game.
Really?
Yeah. Who do you think a Charity Shield is against?
Sutton. No, it couldn't be because they're in the conference. Who?
Hampton and Richmond.
Hampton and Redbridge. Get it right.
Of course. Forgive me.
Dear me.
Yeah, they have it's called a Charity Shield.
Okay.
Love it. The Battle of Kingston, it must be. That's all I can think of. But yeah, they lost 1-0 at Hampton. Danny Gallagher played a full game. by all accounts, got stuck in, which is what Danny
Sounds
Gallagher
about right,
wants and needs. Really pleased with him. He needs league football. He needs
competitive football.
He needs a game that's got an end result. And if there's any person that's seen Danny Gallagher play, when there's something at stake, he doesn't shy from a challenge, put it that way. So I can imagine he's loving it. I did look through the names. I did notice a certain Jake Nicholson as a sub for Kays.
Wow.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah, okay. He probably should be playing at a higher level.
I'm assuming that's the same person. If anyone who's goes watch Kays, I know there's a few fans who sometimes go and watch the Kays when they're at home and that. Feel free to correct me, but I think that probably is because there's a good connection between, obviously naturally where we obviously have Kingstoners at our ground, we naturally have a good networking with their things. So I'd imagine it is the Jake Nicholson that we know. But yeah, that's a drop and off, and I was a bit surprised when I saw that.
Always reminds me of that famous Cheltenham game, which we got points deducted because of international clearance or whatever it was that we got told off for again. Only because I remember Danny Hilton, that was when we scored 3 goals in like 10 seconds, of which Danny Hilton scored once. And you notice he scored on the weekend, Stu, for Luton as they won 3-0 at Plymouth. Just dropping that one in there.
And do you know what? And very quickly, I know we're going well over, which is natural. I said when we lost Danny Hilton, I said I was gutted that we lost him. And people looked at me and went, no, don't be stupid. Well, he ain't done too bad since he left us. He got a promotion at Oxford and got a probably well-rewarded move. Let's be saying that.
He gets to live in Luton.
So they've got to be rewarded well to live in Luton. But you know what? He scores goals. He might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I stand by. I was gutted when we lost him, and I'm not surprised he's a well sought after striker in the League Two.
Polly on Go then, and new music this week. I could not stand that awful Pokemon music any longer. So we've got this new backing music. Do you recognise this, Stu?
Can't say I do.
Do you not?
No.
If I said John Fashanu and Eureka Johnson...
Wonga.
So what
Isn't that what we had on the Gladiators?
Oh, here we go. Thank you, Gladiators. Yeah, we'll ignore whatever that noise you just made was. Yeah, this was Gladiators. You know that on Challenge TV they are replaying the first ever season of Gladiators now on a Sunday evening.
Really?
No, I'm making up. Yes, they are.
I might watch that. It's not on Dave or anything. I think Dave is a great channel. It just shows all the old stuff. But
no, it's on Challenge, which is essentially the quiz show version of Dave.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting? Yeah, old TV seems to get good ratings.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. Did you have any particular favourite Gladiators back in the day?
I used to like the Wolf because he generally was the old typical bad person, wasn't it? Jet was.
If I could put money on you mentioning one name, it would have been Jet.
I always like the idea of being beaten up or manhandled by a pretty young lady. It just seems like quite a turn on. But
yeah, and you don't watch WWE. It's very strange.
No, I don't.
Interesting. What I've noticed when watching it back is that any gladiator that was black seemed to have some form of name that reflected this. I'm not sure. When would it have been? 94, 93? What
are the names then? Panther was one of them. Was that right?
I think there was a Panther. Yes, there was Shadow.
Yes.
Nightshade.
No way.
Just made me think.
Isn't it really weird how things change? Where as soon as you said them, I can tell exactly what you mean. But back then, no, didn't really actually even think that way. No, but there we go. That's what we did. The other thing I found quite amusing is that during the events, they like to get the crowd involved by playing Queen We Will Rock You and get them to clap along. Yes. This is hilarious to me because I think the idea is that you stamp your feet and clap your hands to make the sound of the song. Okay? Yes. They've forgotten part of this, the crowd, and then on a third beat every time, they're just putting their hands in the air. So instead of your We Will Rock You clapping, you're just getting this. Which just sounds like a guy in the old people's home trying to turn his light on. Do you know what? It doesn't work. Our podcast is getting better and better. That is probably the funniest reenactment. That's got to be. I do like to, Oh dear. Add a little bit of comic relief to the podcast. Right.
Anyway, let's get on with the game. Yeah, let's
fly
through these. I think a lot of listeners might well get this on the first clue, and Stu, there's a chance you will as well. I'm not sure.
I'm worried about this, but I'm not as confident as I was when I first started this competition.
No, you were 1 out of 1, but now you're 1 in 3, aren't you?
Yeah, cheers.
So now you're trying to go for 2 out of 4 this week. First one then, this week, Dominic, he's very tired, clearly, having gone to Peterborough on Tuesday night, but he's gone back on the train. And from King's Cross, he's got a train all the way up to Paragon Station.
Where?
Paragon Station. The name of the place goes alongside it, but I obviously can't say that part. So it's something Paragon Station. It's a bit of an unusual one. I thought you might know, but okay.
No, okay. I'm lost on that already.
No, I don't think you've been to this ground, so that's another bit of a good. Anyway, he's left Paragon Station. He's walked for about 20 minutes to get to the stadium, and as he's approaching it, he can see outside there are rugby posts lined up against the wall.
A rugby town, so we're looking places like Wigan, that sort of area, St Helens. No, I'm not sure on the second one.
Okay, well, final clue then. The first game for this stadium was played mid-season, so they opened the stadium on Boxing Day 2002. Okay, their first game, if it helps you, was against Hartlepool. They won by 2-0, and the referee for that game was Howard Webb. But anyway, so there you go. It was opened in 2002.
I'm thinking you got Wigan, St Helens.
They're the only rugby league teams you know.
I know, but there isn't. See, Hull's ground's quite new. I'm not. Paragon, I don't understand. A long shot, I'm going to go for Hull.
Wow, you've done it. That is correct. It is Hull City. It's the
Hull Kingston Rovers, isn't it? Is that right?
I think they share with Hull FC because Hull City are Hull AFC. But anyway,
Paragon come into it. Is that a station up there then?
Yeah, I don't think that's the actual train station. I think they have like a transport bus train station thing altogether. They call Paragon Station. So there you go.
Yeah, like I say, I've not done Hull, so that meant nothing to me. So thank you.
That's all right, but well done. You're back to 50%.
Oh well, that's better than what I normally am.
Yes. Well, you were 100% after the first one, but never mind.
Yeah, that was just beginner's luck.
All right, well done, Stu.
Cool.
How are we going to stick with the Gladiators music?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
I'll find something different next week.
Let's stay with Gladiators.
Very quickly then, let's look ahead. Do a very quick prediction for the game on Saturday. We obviously have Scunthorpe next Tuesday at Kingsmeadow. But on Saturday, our first home game of the new season, Bolton Wanderers visit. They won on the opening day, beat highly fancied Sheffield United by 1-0. They lost in the League Cup in the week at Blackpool, but they did make 7 changes for that game. Quick prediction, Stu?
I'm going to go for a win. 2 reasons I'm going to go for a win is I think that it'll be a big culture shock coming to a sellout little ground like ours, and I think we are playing well enough to win. And also, and I'm not going to glorify or celebrate in someone else's misfortune, but their captain Darren Prattley is out for 10 weeks, broken leg, which I think is a massive loss. He'll be a quality player in this league, and like I say, I'm not going to celebrate in someone else getting injured, but it's a break for us. That's a really bad pun.
Yeah.
But it's basically, it weakens them. Let's be fair, do you know what I mean? I've got a feeling we're going to win 1-0.
I wish I had your confidence, Stu, without defending. Having looked at their starting 11 for the opening day, they got a lot of quality in that team still.
Oh, agreed. But they've not won for, is it something 490 odd, some stat going around on social media?
I guess on the day of broadcast of this podcast, it'll be now 493 days since they last won away from home. So,
and like I say, coming to our place, hopefully we go from all I say is I hope we go away from being, nice to see you, welcome to Wimbledon, and go to a case of making it a fortress and making it a place where they don't want to come. So, as I say to Eric and all the people, turn off all the electricity in the away dressing room, make sure they've got flat footballs, and just flood the dressing room, like the old days. Predictions,
if you'd like, then, on the Ask a Prediction League. You can have a look at how well I got on last week with 1 point from a possible 8. I did say it was going to be 3-2 at Peterborough. I just said we were going to win 3-2.
Exactly.
So I was nearly there. I should get some points for that, but no, I get 0. Never mind. www.neils-wfc-site.co.uk/APL2. Can predict the Bolton game and can predict the Scunthorpe game the following week. We won't really look at that one. I used to say that's another difficult game. And they've started the season well with 2 victories.
Can I quickly say something about Scunthorpe? Useless bit of information, right?
Yeah, if you look at the middle of their name, is that what you're going to say?
No. No, we have a good record against Scunthorpe in terms of the last season they got promoted as second place in League 2.
We did, didn't we?
We won 3-2 with a winner from...
Chris Arthur.
Can you remember who the winner was?
Chris Arthur, wasn't it?
Damn you. Chris Arthur, yes, it was.
Mm.
However, bit of useless information. That was the 4th game into the season. And when we play on Tuesday, it will be the 4th game into the season.
Yeah, I think you're being quite liberal with the truth there, though, because it's the 4th game this season, but wasn't it the 4th league game last time, and technically the 5th game?
Yeah, possibly. But it's still a little bit of a...
Possibly, do you mean yes?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
On Wikipedia it says game 4. I see no cup games, so in my opinion it was game 4. But
yeah, I think we lost to Millwall in the cup already.
Yeah, we drew 0-0 away. So we, in all seriousness, Scunthorpe coming down to our place, that's obviously Neil Cox's local team, so I'm sure he'll want to get one over his local team. But they're a good team. We've got a horrendous start, but we need to get points to the board early on.
Definitely. Updates on all the usual at 9YRS Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this week's show. As I say, remember to follow us at 9YRS Podcast on all the usual social media channels. 9yrspodcast.org. Tell your friends, tell your co-workers, tell your postmen, tell your newsagents about us, if you would please. And then join us next week. Next Thursday, we'll be joined by Christopher Biggins to discuss the Second World War. So it should be a fairly nondescript show. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.